Today, we're going to talk about what do you do when you get upside down on a flip. Hopefully, I hope this never happens to you, but the reality is that it does. And what made me think of it is right now, of the five that I've got, I'm working right now, I'm upside down on one, I'm pretty sure, and another one I'm probably around break even. And that may be wishful thinking on that one. So it happens. So you got to look and say, what do you do? I think it's best usually to get out before you get in any deeper. It usually gets worse because you don't know what you don't know, and that's just the reality. The best scenario is to never get into one that's going to lose you money. And that goes back to investigating properly before you ever make the purchase, before you ever buy your flip. But we all make mistakes, and we all run into things that we don't expect to see. That's just normal. So don't beat yourself up. It doesn't mean you're bad at this just because you're losing money. But if you do this as a habit, then obviously this is not going to be an income source. This is going to be a bad hobby. So we don't want that. And we've covered the idea of pre-auction, pre-purchase investigation, what you should be looking for. We've done that before in the past. We'll do it some more in the future. If you have got questions, you can always ask me. But I'm not going to talk about that element right now, because hopefully you've done some due diligence and you purchased something, and now in this scenario you're in trouble because it came out not as good as you thought it would. And I know my dad always said, don't throw good money at bad or after bad, or how he put it. Honestly, I didn't listen to my dad all the time. Probably should have. He's probably a heck of a lot smarter than I gave him credit for. And probably smarter than me. A lot of people are. But the things I want to talk about today are finding a way to salvage the project without spending any more, or find a way to salvage it while spending the very least you can. Those are two solutions that I generally use. And the third one is to find a way to make the flip worth more than a typical flip, given what you're working on. Whatever it is, just you're trying to maximize the outcome and cut your costs. That way, you can make a profit, possibly make a profit, or at least break even. This way is the riskiest option by far, and you'll probably find that it's the one I lean away from. But we'll talk about that because it's something definitely in some situations that will make sense for you. So let's talk about how to salvage it without spending any more money. This is a lot of the times what I do. Not all the time though, because I'm trying to look for the best scenario, and in some cases it's really like the only scenario. The ways that you can do this are sell it as is, where is, and just try to get it out as soon as possible. Because remember, your time is worth something too. So if you're having to show this piece of junk to somebody 20 different times just to walk away with a loss, it's not worth it. Or might not be worth it. I don't want to be definitive on everything because I know that every situation is a little bit different. But I feel good about this too, because I'm doing full disclosure with somebody. That's something I always prefer to do. We'll talk about that more. Another option though, and this is something that I've had some success doing, is to offer trades. Just open it up to trade, say, trades considered, and in hope that you might be able to trade up. Be careful not to trade down, but use your eyes, and now you may have another opportunity to do due diligence again and possibly get into something that you'd rather have because somebody else would rather have what you have. This happens especially if you can think outside of the box a little bit, like say take a boat or a trailer in on trade, something that you normally don't deal with. It could be an opportunity for you. I've taken real estate in on trade, something I really like. And keep your options open. the stuff is out there. The opportunities are out there sometimes, not every time. Um, Another option that you can have when we're dealing with this, as far as is limiting your exposure, is to consider selling it at auction. And there's a lot of different auction opportunities. I've talked about them before in the past, but just to revisit this, you've got dealer auctions. Now, if you are a dealer, you can generally sell at dealer auctions. I'm not your local dealer auction may not allow you as an individual to sell at the dealer auction, but if they will, it could be open to anybody. But the thing about dealers, about the dealer auction, I feel good about is that it's kind of we're all on the same level, buyer beware kind of thing. And unfortunately, every now and then we come out on the wrong end of the deal. Uh, but we should all know better. We all should be able to investigate. So when I sell a car at a dealer auction, I feel like it's not so much up to me to inform the buyer about every single thing. I know that they're probably expecting there's something wrong with the vehicle. I don't really want to catch somebody out there, and I may even make an announcement from the through the auctioneer that this or that is wrong, just because I don't want to earn a bad reputation. But the fact is, honestly, if I sell a vehicle at the dealer auction, people know me and they know that if there's money to be made, chances are I'm selling it a different way. So there's a reason why I'm here, because this is not my typical method of operation. There's public auctions, and with this, I've done it before. I've sold vehicles at a public auction, but again, I don't feel, my conscience doesn't really let me sell them without making some kind of disclosure from the auctioneer's table and telling somebody what I found wrong with it. But in some cases, it's not like what is wrong with it, like a transmission. Sometimes it's just so many things wrong with it. Uh, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad vehicle. I've got one right now that I'm not upside down on. I'm going to do fine on this one, but I'm going to disclose everything that I found out from Dennis Johnson, my mechanic, who's the greatest mechanic around here. I haven't mentioned that for a while, so I thought I'd say that. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, if you come and take a look at this vehicle, I'm going to tell you everything I know that's wrong with it. I'll probably show you Dennis's report on it. But everything that's on there, if you're a do-it-yourself kind of cat, it won't cost you a lot. It's gaskets and hoses and some simple stuff that you can fix. The vehicle runs great, shifts out great, doesn't look bad. It's going to be a good vehicle, and I'll make a few bucks. They'll get a good deal, and that doesn't really fall into this category. But it kind of does for me. It's not worth me putting the money in it and bumping that thing up to another level. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But a public auction, where it is buyer beware. That's the truth. The fact is that the buyers are not as seasoned as dealers, so I feel a little shy about selling them that way. Another auction opportunity that could be available to you, and is for me, is an estate auction, where the auctioneer is auctioning off the estate. Typically, somebody has passed away. Sometimes they're actually just have gone to a nursing home, and the family says let's sell their things because they can't sell them anymore. And the estate is offering the house and all the goods that are in the house, and they auction these things off one at a time. Occasionally, you can find an estate auctioneer or a real estate auctioneer who will invite you to put vehicles in their estate auction. And this can be pretty lucrative because the vehicle goes along with the house. They auction it off separately, but the people are there ready to spend money. And anytime you've got supply and demand, if you've got 2 or 3 people who are interested in your vehicle for whatever reason, it can drive the price up. And another thing I like about estate auctions is generally, at least here where I'm at, the auctioneer himself is paid, his commission is paid by the buyer. So whatever amount is collected on that deal goes to you. And it can be really easy. You've got a title for the vehicle. They want a vehicle. This is where they want to be. And there's no other vehicles competing with it. So it can work out. And if it doesn't sell, if you can put on all 3 of the auctions, you can put a a floor on it. You've got to hit this floor, or you will not sell, and so that gives you some protection. So that's another way that you can move a vehicle without putting any more money into it. You're selling it as is, where is at the auction. Um, another way, another way. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to take a little break right now because I got to grab a drink of water. I'm going to tell you my favorite way to deal with this, and then I've got I think two more favorite ways, two more ways to deal with it. One is my favorite, and then we're going to jump ahead to some other methods. But I'll be right back in about a minute or something. Okay, let's talk about my favorite way to actually create a profit in a situation where it looks like you're not going to make a profit. Um, So we're trying to salvage this situation without spending any more money. We're still under that category. And my favorite way is to find an alternative revenue source. This is this is something you've probably heard me talk about before, but maybe I haven't used those terms, but that's really what I'm talking about. My favorite way is a barter exchange. And you've heard me talk about this before. Some of you may automatically turn off to it, and I'm sorry that you do if that's the case, because this way has been extremely profitable for me and is in some ways revolutionized the way that I live. So I highly recommend that you at least investigate into it. Now, a barter exchange is a way for businesses of all types to exchange products and services with other businesses of all types. And I belong to three of these barter exchanges, and they are located the two of them are international. Well, actually, all three of them are international because the third one just opened a branch in Canada. But some are more regional, some are more national, and some of them do international trading. I don't really do a lot of international trading, but I say that just to stress the fact that these are pretty big operations, and these are operations that a lot of businesses participate in. And the beautiful thing about a alternative revenue source, an alternative way to pay, is it creates a different supply and demand. And that is something that I've benefited from greatly, not only with my car flipping business, my car dealership, but also with other businesses that I am and have been involved in the past. Supply and demand is a very big key of all business, and basically, if you don't understand that, that's fine. The fact is that the smaller the supply and the greater the demand, the greater price you can get for it. And so this can create a situation where possibly your vehicle is one of just a few vehicles that are available through a barter exchange. And now if you have, let's say you have three vehicles that are available and you have 30 people who want to buy a vehicle, you may have a shot at selling your vehicle for a pretty good price. And I tend to do this about 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. I'll sell a vehicle this way, and generally it works out, I believe, very much in my favor. But the beautiful thing is the folks who are buying it also feel that it's working out in their favor, which is my favorite thing. That everybody it feels like they're getting the better end of the deal. And that's probably something I could delve into further, but I'm not going to today. I've talked about this in the past. So that's one thing that I really recommend. However, there's another way, another alternative revenue source in a way, and that is to sell your vehicle outside of your immediate geographic area, the normal geographic area where you sell vehicles. Like, for instance, I typically sell my vehicles in North Alabama and South Central Tennessee. That's usually where a car will sell for me. Um, I I'm not opposed to selling a vehicle someplace else, and I have sold vehicles as far away as I think Colorado, New York, possibly Michigan. Um, I think that's about as far as a vehicle from me has gone. But I honestly, I don't think I tried. Well, the one Colorado, I think I tried to sell the vehicle there, and the reason that you might be able to do this is because uh, the vehicle may have a greater value in a different area, a different climate, a different situation. Just for instance, let's say I've got every vehicle I have. Well, every vehicle except for one has zero rust on it, no rust, because I'm in North Alabama. We don't see rust. This one vehicle I have happened to come down from up north and it's got a little rust on it. That's a very rare thing for us. We typically see vehicles that are just whisper clean. Even if they're dirty, they're clean as far as rust goes. And that can be a big deal if you're in Detroit or if you're in Milwaukee or if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, or tons of places across the United States where rust is just a thing that they deal with, and they may think, "Wow, I'd love to get that car, and I don't mind doing this, that, and this repair to it because I'm going to have a car that looks like it came from the showroom compared to what folks drive around, for the same amount of money." So simple as that. Rust could no rust could make your car worth more. Just they see it and say, "Wow, that's a 2008. That looks fantastic." It could be that your vehicle has four-wheel drive, and four-wheel drive is not that big of a deal here. Maybe a little bit, but not as big a deal as it is up in hunting area, up in a place where there's tons of snow. You could have a convertible, and maybe you're in Des Moines, Iowa, or way up in the Upper Peninsula, and nobody really wants a convertible up there except for like 2 weeks of the year, and you just happen to have one. It may sell better in Atlanta than it is there. Just a diesel. Maybe there's a place that diesels are more desired than. Yeah, you get my point. There can be geographically beneficial ways to market your vehicle, even though you have problems. See, think outside the box. Look for ways to sell the vehicle that you have the way it is without spending any more money. It can work. It really can. And these are typically the approaches that I take when I get upside down on one. Now, another approach that I take, and it's an approach that I have taken on one of these vehicles I'm talking about right now, is to salvage it while spending the least that I can. Now, you've heard me say the term safe and sellable if you've listened to the podcast before. That's typically what my mechanics at Dennis Johnson Auto Repair here in North Alabama. What we talk about, those are pretty much the instructions that I give them when I bring a vehicle to them. Take a look at it, tell me what I need to do to make it safe and sellable. I usually sell my vehicles at a low price point. I don't concern myself with having everything meticulously repaired. I just want them to be safe. And if there's things that I do not repair, I usually disclose that. I say, I didn't fix these things because I didn't think they were necessary right now, but you're going to probably want to get to them eventually. And that makes my conscience feel good and it keeps the price down. So that's pretty much what I always do. But sometimes I'll put a little extra money into it because I know I can get a little more extra money out. Like we were just like, well, I thought we were going to talk a little bit. But you weigh the value of what you're doing to the flip, and then disclose what you're not doing. And my belief is, and this is proven over and over again. My belief is that the right buyer is going to come buy the vehicle from me when I'm honest. I've had a couple phone calls today where the people, I think that has shocked them because I told them every truth I know, and that's what I prefer to do. And they're not coming to look at the vehicles, but that's fine. I don't want to sell the vehicle to the wrong buyer. So that's how I conduct business. I encourage you to do the same, but do what you do, but safe and sellable. That's the way I like them. Another way along these lines, because so now I'm saying fix what you need to make the thing sellable at as good a price as you can get within reason. Another place though is be frugal. Be frugal when you source your parts, and be frugal as you source your labor. Um, as far as parts goes, that's as simple as where are you spending your money? Now we're doing safe and sellable. We're fixing the things that we feel like we need to fix. Sometimes it's okay to use used parts. I used a couple used parts this week. One for a power steering pump. I pulled a power steering pump out of a car that had almost 200,000 miles less on it than the car that I'm selling. So practically a new part to go into a very not new vehicle. That saved a lot of money on that particular vehicle. I also buy parts from so I usually for that I usually go to carpart.com. You've probably heard me talk about it. There's links on our website, of course, for carpart.com. And another my favorite sources, and these are not I do not receive income from either one of these. I wish I did, but I don't. From Rock Auto, you've probably heard their advertisements. Maybe you already buy. And if you're a member of the car flipping forum, you'll see me post discounts. You can save an extra 5% with the discount code that we put on there. And that's again, I'm not getting revenue from that. I'm just trying to save you money, help you make more money because that's our goal here. Um, so that's a great source to buy everything from brand new alternators and to windshield wipers. I use that for everything. I usually discuss it with my mechanics and say, is it okay if I buy this part there? Because sometimes they say, no, don't buy that stuff from Rock Auto. We want to get that directly from the dealer. And sometimes you can't buy what you want. I needed to get a rear hatch handle, and I could not find it anyplace except for the dealer. That's where we had to buy it from. And my guys are great. They sold it to me for their cost, which still was, about 4 times what I was hoping it would cost. But they were able to get it and fix it and put it back on my lot right away. We can get back in that hatch and we can sell that vehicle. Um, Discount Tire, and any of their competitors, I've got them all listed on the now on the when you go to flippinggenius.com, you can go to the resources page and find all these places for tools and parts and batteries and tires and anything else I can think of, ways for you to save money, including floor mats and hubcaps. And I'm constantly looking for new ones. And if you know of ones that I should have on there, let me know. Let me know. Flippingquestions@gmail.com. That's how you send me an email. But save as much money as you can on your parts, because every dollar you save is a one less dollar that you will lose if you sell the car for a low end price, that's what we're talking about. And then I've said labor. If you can save money on labor by doing it yourself, do it yourself. I always replace my own batteries. I always do my windshield wipers. I do a lot of my detail work. I do the really simple stuff. As I've said many times in the past, my mechanics say if you see Randy under the hood of the car, it probably means you just ran him over. But we can say unless he's replacing the battery, because that's something I do. But you may be more handy at this. You may be better at this. You may not be as lazy as me, and you may be able to do some repairs on your own. So if you can do it, you'll save that money. Why not? Why not save it? Unless your time is much more valuable than what you pay your mechanic, and that's very possible. I have friends who make a substantial income, and they would be better off using more of their time at making that income than this, because they make much more per hour than they pay their mechanics. But they still want more money and they're still doing flips. God bless America, right? So know your own capability and expand it. You can do more. You can. So don't necessarily follow what I do. I know who I am, and I don't mind it. So that's how I do it. But also, look for alternatives. You can tell I'm extremely loyal to my mechanics. But there may be some jobs that they don't really care if they get. And I do have a line on a mobile mechanic here who will come to me and do some things. He will do it on labor on barter. So that's something I've recently discovered. And my guys at Dennis say, hey, do what you got to do. We want you to make money. So that's a new resource for me that could save me some money. and that's that outside the box thinking. So kind of combines what I was talking about earlier and what I'm talking about right now. Um, and another thing, don't be afraid to ask your mechanic to give you a break. Tell them, I'm trying to make money on this thing, and especially when you get to be like I am with my guys, I'm in there almost every day, sometimes more than once a day. They know me, they know what I'm trying to do, and they try to help. I don't expect them to lose money though. I expect them to be able to pay their bills. So I'm I won't ask them to cut their costs so far that it makes it where they don't want to work with me. So I encourage you to do the same. Be straightforward and think of the people you're working with. Give them a chance to make money, but don't be afraid to say, hey, is there any way you can give me a break on what you're charging for this? And the fact is, I don't even have to ask anymore. They know what I'm trying to do, and they give me the breaks that they feel they can, and I generally don't ask for any more because but that's just me. I let my conscience and my I let these things get in my way, I suppose, of making a couple bucks here and there. But I feel better about it at the end of the day. That's just how I am. But you do what you do. That's fine. I like to. I kind of ask my guys, is there something I can do that will cut a corner here or there or save me some money? And the fact is, the reason why I work with Dennis and Gary and all the guys at Dennis Johnson Auto Repair is because they tell me the truth. And if they told me to cut a corner that I didn't feel comfortable about, I would probably know that I'm working with the wrong guys. And that's just the reality. So, be conscious of that because we all have to go, to the grocery store and see these folks on the next aisle sometimes. You want to do what's right by yourself and by them. And you're in this life for more than just this deal. This goes on and on. And hey, I want to invite you to share your thoughts and suggestions on this particular area, especially in the car flipping forum. If you're not already a member of the car flipping forum, it's free to join. Just go to Facebook groups and type in Flipping Genius, and you'll find the car flipping forum. It's free to join. And then once you're there, please participate and share what share what you believe, share what you're hoping to learn, and let's interact. I love to see the interaction we have. We're right at about 1,000 members right now. It continues to grow, and I really appreciate the exchanges that are going on right there. And the fact is, I don't know everything, that's for sure. So I'd love to hear some of the things that you guys will share there. And let's see, as far as that goes, you can also go to the website Flipping Genius, FLIPPINGENIUS.com. Only one G in the middle of that, so it's flippingenius there.com. And you'll see the links to our resources page, see the links to the car flipping forum, and join there. We're going to take one little break so I can grab another swig of Kickapoo Joy Juice. And when I come back, we're going to talk about the last thing, about how to make your flip worth more than typical to maximize the outcome. Be right back. So we're going to talk now about how to maximize the value of your flip. This is the third option. So we're going to take a look at, is there a way to make your flip worth more than the typical flip, considering what the raw material is, what you're dealing with. And again, I heartily invite your input into this, because this honestly is outside of my typical MO. There may have been a handful of times when I've taken this approach, but you need to realistically recognize what the maximum value of your flip can be. Right? Now, for instance, if you've got a 2003 Hyundai with 185,000 miles on it, it is only going to be worth so much. There's a ceiling on how much you could possibly get for that vehicle. no matter how much you shine it up, no matter how great it runs, there's just a ceiling. Now, if you've got let's say a 1966 Chevy Impala, that's an entirely different story. I mean, there's always a ceiling, but that ceiling could be much, much higher, and there's there's opportunity there, and there's typically not a lot of opportunity with the 2003 Hyundai. Although yours truly will buy 2003 Hyundais pretty regularly, but my goal is that I'm not working in this category because the fact is there's not a lot I can do to maximize the value of a 2003, a 21-year-old almost Hyundai. But they're still out there and they still run. They can be good vehicles, but probably not the direction to go right now. Not in 2023. We've been doing this for a while now. These cars sound older, and keep that in mind if you're listening to past episodes, because we are going on, I think, 5 years. Now be careful not to underestimate the time and expense involved in this maximization process. This is really important, and I hope that some of you guys will share this on the forum with your lesser experienced peers. Because the fact is that time is a big part of this equation too. You only have so much time, and also spend your money on paper first before you spend it in reality. I mean, even if you've got that 66 Chevy Impala that you believe you can turn into this gem, before you do it, be as accurate as possible on estimating what your costs are, because now we're talking about really bumping your investment up. And sometimes it could pay off, but be sure to what is the old adage, measure twice, cut once. I think it fits here. I mean, we're not cutting, but you get the idea. I think that's a what do you call it? Man, I can't even think of the word, but you get my point. I'm not going to belabor the cost at that point. So and anticipate extra costs. You're going to have extra costs. Besides what you do on paper, besides what you know is going to be there, besides what you anticipate trouble, because there's probably going to be some extra costs. And if anything, be at least slightly pessimistic in your projections. That can be difficult because you want to get fired up, you want to get excited, but be slightly pessimistic as you project, and if you do better than you thought you would, awesome. But be careful. You can probably, like I said, gather that this is my least favorite of the alternatives, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong every time. It can be right, and like I said earlier, I would love your input on that. And I'll look for it. Car Flipping Forum, come and share. And it'll be fun to hear. And if you've got a story to tell, I'd love to have you on the podcast sometime. But that's what I had to share with you today. I thank you for listening and watching, or watching. Thank you for listening and watching, or watching and listening. And thanks to all of you who have been or are going to start sharing on the Car Flipping Forum. It's free. There's no catch there. I do invite all of you to consider working directly with me, as I mentioned in episode 173, and I've probably mentioned a lot of other times, but specifically in episode 173, the last one, so that we can help you become more profitable. That's the whole goal. That's the number one goal of Flipping Genius, is to help you make more money. Number one goal. I've said it a zillion times. I know, not quite a zillion, but a whole bunch of times. And you can learn more about that anytime at the website, flippinggenius.com, FLIPPINGENIUS.com. There's always a link below wherever you're watching. And if you think we can help you more, be sure to save us as a favorite and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Very, very important. There should be a button below wherever you're listening or watching. And we need more subscribers to YouTube channel. Just straight up, please subscribe. Like I said it 4 times now. And if you think we can help somebody else that you know that is in car flipping or wants to get into car flipping or has thought about car flipping, please share Flipping Genius with them, either the podcast or the YouTube channel or the website. They will thank you because there is a ton of great information, and I love hearing from you guys and hearing how much you appreciate what we put out there. That's why we're doing it. That is why we're doing it. Honestly, yeah, I want to make a buck or two. I'm not lying about that, but my number one goal is to help you make more money. That's what it warms my heart to hear the good stories that we hear and to know that at least some of the things that you've learned have come from the podcast and the YouTube channel here. Hey, let's work together. Let's make some money. Let's all become flipping geniuses.